T-Mobile and Alcatel are bringing us the Idol 4S, but this time it runs Windows 10 Mobile. It also comes with this crazy headset. Is it any good? Let's find out. Regarding design, the Idol 4S is very premium. It's an all metal and glass body. That's of course good and bad. It feels fantastic in the hand, but it is prone to breaking were you to drop it. Don't forget, that back is all glass as well. It's also a fingerprint magnet. It's not such a big deal, but it can show fingerprints and you may need to wipe it down frequently. Coming around to the sides, the phone itself is accented by a gold trim. It's not too gaudy looking at all. In fact, it goes very well with the black overall design of the phone, and I think it looks really elegant. The phone weighs 152 grams and feels really good in the hand. It's also thin at 7 millimeters. Coming around to the top, you have a 3.5 millimeter headset jack, microphone hole, and of course those antenna lines. And at the bottom here, you have a USB Type-C with Quick Charge 2.0 and another microphone hole. Overall, the Idol 4S is a very elegant, clean, and minimalist design. The buttons feel great, it looks really sharp, and I think most people are going to be very happy with this phone. The Idol 4S features a fingerprint sensor on the back. It's pretty decent, although it is significantly smaller than the Elite X3s. It also doesn't feature very large ridges, making it quite difficult to feel in your pocket. Nonetheless, it works pretty well and it's quite fast. Unlike the Elite X3, the Idol 4S only has a fingerprint scanner and no front-facing iris scanner. That means you can only unlock it using your finger or pin. Alright, let's talk about the rear camera. It's a 21 megapixel, which is actually pretty impressive. That's a step up from the 16 megapixel on the Android version. It's also using a Sony sensor, which is not too bad. As you can see though, of course, there is quite a big hump there. It doesn't bother me, but I know some people will have a real issue with that. The camera itself is pretty good. Now I say that because things like the Lumia 950, 950 XL definitely set the bar when it comes to Windows 10 Mobile. This is a decent camera, meaning during daylight shots you'll get really good images, but at nighttime it will struggle a bit. Let's talk about the camera button. It's oddly placed in the middle of the phone, but that doesn't really bother me too much. It's only used for launching the camera and of course using the actual shutter button. It works pretty well, although your hand is going to be a little bit in the way when you take a picture. You can, of course, just use the on-screen shutter button instead. When it comes to shutter speed, the phone is pretty slow, and I think that's kind of run-of-the-mill these days for when it comes to Windows 10 Mobile. Microsoft could probably help Alcatel here a little bit to improve things, but we'll just have to kind of live with it. Still, the camera is pretty decent for 2016, but it won't match the flagships that are out there currently. Coming around to the front, we have a nice 8 megapixel shooter. It's probably one of the better ones I've used. You also get this really cool front-facing flash, which we haven't seen much of recently. That flash is good for low light situations or to fill in shadows. Let's talk a little bit about virtual reality. The Idol 4S, of course, comes with this really cool headset in the box, and it's actually a really good VR headset, and I say that in comparison to the Samsung Gear. However, VR on Windows 10 Mobile is a little bit in its infancy. There aren't a lot of apps or games included, but there are some. There's Tube 360, for instance, which allows you to watch YouTube videos, and it actually works pretty well. And the games on there are neat. However, I wouldn't buy this phone purely for the VR experience. It's a neat little novelty, it serves as a nice intro to VR, but it shouldn't really be the main thrust of this device. You probably won't be putting this headset on every day and using it, but maybe you will. I am a little biased here. I don't think virtual reality on phones is all that fantastic. Another problem here, of course, is the Idol 4S with Windows 10 Mobile has a full HD display. That's a little bit lower than a QHD that's featured on the Android version, and you do notice some of the pixels while wearing the headset. It's not a deal breaker, but of course you can see the difference in resolution here. The Idol 4S is Continuum enabled, although Alcatel is not promoting that feature too much. After all, this is a consumer phone and not really geared towards business. There's no included dock with the phone, so you'll need to pick one up from Microsoft if you want a desktop-like experience. Running a Snapdragon 820 and with 3.5 gigabytes of available RAM, the Idol 4S performs just as well as HP's Elite X3. In fact, there is no discernible difference between the two devices. You'll still run into the same Continuum limitations, like being unable to run apps side by side, but that will be addressed with the Windows 10 Creators Update due early next year. Overall, Continuum on the Idol 4S is as good as it gets, but for consumers, it is still a novelty until Microsoft improves its capabilities. Small point of fact, I wrote this segment using Continuum in Microsoft Word, and needless to say, it was very handy. So what to make of the Idol 4S? Honestly, it's one of the best Windows 10 mobile devices I've used. It's really high-end, it feels great in the hand, the materials are totally premium, and it's just a really great experience. Now, putting aside the fact here that Windows 10 Mobile is in a little bit of a weird situation in late 2016, your mileage may vary on how much you get out of this device. Obviously, there's still the app gap on Windows 10 Mobile, and that's a problem for some. However, if you're even watching this review right now, you're probably interested in this device, and I can tell you it's really good. I think it's almost worth switching to T-Mobile for, or at least picking up one of their prepaid plans. Having said that, there are some drawbacks here. Obviously, the camera is not nearly as good as the Lumia 950 XL, so you will step down there. There's also no NFC, which also means there's no Microsoft payments and tap to pay. That's also a bit of a bummer. Otherwise, though, the battery life is fantastic, the performance is great, the display is good. There's really nothing to not like about this device. So I actually give this phone a really good rating, and I think you should check it out if you're still interested in Windows 10 Mobile. So that's our video review, the Alcatel Idol 4S. You can head to Windows Central for the full written review and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody.